So they say that practice makes perfect. Before a boy puts on tefillin, he practices for a little while to be able to do his tefillin, atifas tefillin properly, his putting on tefillin, anachas tefillin. How can we practice for a very, very important and choshev concept of mesiras nefesh? Mesiras nefesh is something which has characterized the Jewish nation since its very beginning. And we're going to find out in a minute where we get our source from. But how do we practice for mesiras nefesh, which fortunately in our time is not a physical, at least in our place, a physical experience, but it has been for so many millions of years, for so many places throughout history, Europe and Russia and Spain and everywhere. So it's my own personal minhag, which I've taken upon myself, to have four things in mind when I say Kriya Shema in the morning, either right before Shema or while I'm saying Shema, but usually right before Shema. And I pause for a minute and I think of four things. It's my own personal minhag, which I generally don't go around telling people my minhagim, but for our family, I'm just willing to let you, I'm divulging my secret about what the things I do in my own daily avodah. So the first concept that comes to my mind when I'm doing Kriya Shema, when I'm saying Shema Yisrael, is Kabbalas Malchus Shemayim, which is what the Siddur says to have in mind. The second concept is Mesiras Nefesh for Kabbalas Malchus Shemayim. I accept upon myself that I'll be willing to be Moshe Nefesh for Kabbalas Malchus Shemayim. The third thing is to be Mekayim the mitzvah of Kriya Shema and Shachris Arvis, which is another fundamental concept in Kriya Shema. We have to have in mind that we're being Yosei the mitzvah of Kriya Shema, Shachris Arvis. And the last concept, which I learned later in my life, is to have in mind the kavanas of all the previous dairos. I should have in my mind the kavanah of the dairos hakodmayim. That trying to think, I cannot reach that level of their madrega. At least I want to aspire. I want to try to have in mind. I would like to have the kavanos of the dairos harishonim. Okay, so we can practice for the concept of mesiras nefesh, that we're willing to be moshe nefesh for Kodesh Baruch Hu. Now, where is a source, not the only source, but a very, very impressive source in this week's Parshas Vaeira, Visharas Hayor Tzvardeim, this Vadeya, which of course is the second of the Makkos, and they'll come out of the Yaor, out of the river. And come up and go into your houses, which of course is against their nature, against their teva. The very famous medrash is brought down in Gemara Psachim. The three great leaders of Klal Yisrael at the time of Bavel. They were thrown into the Kibbush Eish. They were willing to be thrown into Kibbush Eish at the time when they're supposed to bow down to the idol for Nebuchadnezzar. They brought a Kavachomer from the Sfardim. The Tzvardeya, who have no mitzvah of Kiddush Hashem, is written by them that they're going to jump into the ovens. We who have a mitzvah of Kiddush Hashem are being Moshe Nefesh for Kiddush Hashem. We certainly have to do it. So the Shagas Aryeh, in the version that I have, is brought down that the Shagas Aryeh had the kasha. In most versions, it does have the Shagas Aryeh having the kasha. The question is, in some versions, it has the teretz, or who's being teretz it, which is what I'll tell you in just a moment, in this version. So the Shagas Aryeh says, this is not a great Kavachomer. They also had a tzivui to be Moshe Nefesh. As it says, that they should come up out of the Yor and go into your houses. How do you say that they didn't have a tzivui of mesiras nefesh? So in this section, which I have from the Sefer on the Gra, so the Gra at the time of the Shagas Hayakasha was 7 years old. And he answered to the Shagas Aryeh. He said, correct, they were mitzvah to come into the house. They had a tzivui, but they were not mitzvah to go into the tanur. They could have gone into the beds. Each one of the Tzvardeya could have said to his friend, excuse me, Zaitz Moichel, You go into the Tanur, I'll go into the bed. And each one of them could have said that they should go into the Tanur and I'll go into the beds in the bedroom. But what did they do? Nope, they didn't do that. Each one was outrunning the other one to be the first ones to run into the Tanur. I can't get the page flipped over here. Here it is. Okay. And the Kava Chomer is a good Kava Chomer because each one was trying to be doing the utmost that they could to do Mesiras Nefesh and to do a mitzvah Kiddush Hashem. When the Shagas Arya heard this question, according to this version, he picked up the little boy and gave him a kiss on his forehead. So that's brought down that way. So what is the morals? What is the take-home message? What's the takeaway message? We all have to strive in our own lives to try to do the best that we can when we're given the opportunity to do Kiddush Hashem, hopefully in a very, very positive way. And if necessary, with Mesiras Nefesh for Kiddush Hashem, so we can fulfill and make our Vaeira satisfied with our efforts. And Yis Hashem, they will be crowned with success, with Shabbos. Of course, I neglected to say, but I'll say it now, that all of these Divrei Torah are being said properly now. Nishmas Imi Marasi, Tom Rezel Bas Mordechai Tzvi, my father, Ol Hashem Aram Ben Yisachar, and my brother, Ol Hashem Aram Yehuda Ben Aharon. I have a little extra treat for those who were willing to sit through and listen to me, and that is, when I was younger, one of the doctors in the hospital asked me the very famous question: if it says "V'chaved Hashem es slave Paro," Hashem caused "V'chazek Hashem es slave Paro," that Hashem caused Paro's heart to be hardened. So how is it that we punish him if Hashem took away his bechira chavshis? The Beis Halevi, there are many answers to that question. Rashi asks the kasha, and there are terutzim that are given in many different ways. It's a monumental machlokas amongst all the mafarshim, but I happen to prefer, and I always was taken by the teretz of the Beis Halevi. How to get the Beis Halevi in here into the Divrei Torah, and he says, "What does it mean? Hashem slave Paro? Why did Hashem did not take away his bechira chavshis? Paro did not want to let the Yidden go. Azvos, Hashem sends a makkah, gives him one patch, gives him a second patch, gives him a third patch, gives him a fourth patch, and he's trying to force him to scare him into submission. So Paro is almost ready to give in. And Hashem says, you know what? I don't want to force you. You have to do it on your own. I'm going to give you enough koyach to withstand the fear of the makkah. Hashem did not take away Paro's bechira chavshis. He gave back his bechira chavshis. Hashem said, you know what? You're not afraid of the makkah now. What do you want to do? He says, I don't want to let him go. I'm not going to let the Bnei Yisrael go. So that's a fantastic terrace to this very, very fundamental kasha of bechira chavshis. Have a good Shabbos.